everyone, and welcome back to this week's video. This is Lady, if you didn't know. So while the title may seem very morbid and such, this is the story of how we almost put Lady to sleep. First of all, I'm sorry about this weird lighting over here. It's just I can't move the sun. I tried moving myself, but that didn't help much. So I don't have the exact dates everything happened, because I wasn't like writing the dates down as things were happening, but I try to like figure out what was when. But basically at the beginning of June, around the 9th of June, Lady was collapsing. Like, she couldn't really walk, and when she did walk she was stumbling, and it was really difficult to see. So we took Lady to the vet, the same vet who had operated on her just a little bit before, a few months before. So we took Lady into the vet that morning, and like after the initial examination, the vet said that her temperature was quite high, so her body was definitely fighting off something, but we weren't sure what, and that her liver felt enlarged. So then the next day, Lady was dropped off at the vet, and then she stayed at the vet overnight. And then while she was there, they did a bunch of testing. So then the next day, we took Lady to the vet again, and we dropped her off there, and while she was there, they did a whole bunch of tests. So she stayed overnight at the vet for 2 nights, and it wasn't going too well. Lady wasn't eating, she wasn't moving much. She was just looking so bad. She was in such a bad condition, and I didn't even mention that now at the beginning. Like, not only was she not walking and like stumbling, she wasn't eating. She just was like, she was like only halfway here. So now by this time, after she spent the 2 nights overnight at the vet, it's looking really bad. The diagnosis was now that she had hepatitis, which was like when the liver is enlarged. And so they were trying everything they could, but it was kind of, there's not much more they could do without her eating. You know, they can give her all this meds, but she still needs to eat and, you know, carry on living. So it was at like a really bad stage, and every time I went to the vet I was just like holding back the tears, because seeing her at such a weak state was so hard. So now she's been at the vet for a while. It's looking quite bad, you know, the whole diagnosis and everything. So we brought her back home, because we were trying to see if she would eat at home, maybe where she's more comfortable, versus her being in a little pen kind of thing that they have at the vets. That day that she came home, it was quite a sad day, because the thought in our minds are like, if she doesn't eat, that's kind of it. And there's like words that I'm hearing people talking about, like putting her down, and I was just not ready for that at all. You know, she's my childhood dog. It's the dog that I've had since I was like 8 or something. You know, it was, I couldn't believe that I was hearing talk about putting her down, and like if she doesn't eat as soon as she comes home, then, you know, that's it. And the vet's saying, you know, she's not a young dog, and there isn't like, you know, it was really hard. And if you were following me on Instagram, you might have seen a few of those Instagram stories where it was like, this could be our last day with her and all that, and it was so hard. But as soon as she got home, she livened up so much. And then, you know, my family and I are looking at her and going, there's so much life left in her, there is no way we're putting her down. So Lady did start eating. The only thing she would eat in the beginning was scrambled eggs, but the vet was like, no, that's fine, it's a good source of protein as long as she's eating something. And then so we would give her that, and we gave her some her favorite tin food and that, you know, not the healthiest thing, but again, we were just trying to get her to eat something. After that, we took her back to the vet, and the vet was like shocked that she's got so much life back in her just from being back at home. I think Lady really doesn't do well when she's at the vet, and if she stays there by herself overnight, like, and she's not at home. So then we brought her home after that vet appointment, and now began the journey of giving her lots of medicine. So she had 2 fluid medicines that I had to give to her, and I just used like a little syringe and put it in her mouth and give it to her that way. Then there was also liver support powder that I mixed into that liquids. There was also another tablet that I crushed and mixed into the liquids, and it was a lot, but it was all well worth it. Then at another stage, like, she's such a picky eater, so now like she's even becoming picky with eating the scrambled eggs, and she didn't want to eat like solid foods, like the dry pellets, I mean. So then I started taking the pellets and I'd like grind it up, mix in a tiny bit of water and make a paste for her out of that. So that took a bit of elbow grease, you know, grind down those pellets, but I started doing that as well, and that worked. I know I don't have a lot of the like nitty-gritty details as I've had in other videos where I've like where I've taken my pets to the vet, or if they were sick or anything, but this was such an emotional thing at the time that I wasn't sitting there like taking notes like, okay, today's this day and this has happened and this has happened, and also it's been like almost a month now since this has happened, so don't remember all the details, but it was such a big deal. Like, this is my family dog. I was not ready to have her like put down, and I didn't want to like give up on her. And like, I understand, you know, like if I had a pet that was in pain and that I truly could not give them a nice good life, you know, for the remainder, or you know, however long that would be, then I can understand choosing to euthanize the animal. But I just knew it was not Lady's time. Lady was like, I know she looked so bad and she was so sick, but I could not do it. And I'm so glad that we didn't rush into it and didn't, because she is back to her old self. She is back to barking at the cats. Well, she doesn't bark at the cat, but there was this other time a couple days ago when I made Lady some nice food, and then the cat like just looked at it and Lady kind of barked at her. So she's back to that. She's back to jumping up and down, kind of, as much as her old age will let her. Jumping up and down for treats. She's back to her old self, and I will be the first to like thank modern vet care for that, because like, obviously if we hadn't treated her for all this and we hadn't taken her to the vet, that could have been it for her, you know, without her walking and without her eating. But I am so thankful that we could sort this out. And it was also like difficult because when we were at the vet the one day, this was the day before we had decided to finally bring her home to see if she'd eat at home. When we were there at the vet talking to the receptionist, what had happened was the vet had like told the receptionist how bad the situation is and whatnot, and how Lady is an old dog, so you kind of have to, you know, look at it with that open heart that maybe, you know, you're gonna have to put her down. But we hadn't actually said that it is going to, like, that putting her down is something we were gonna do. I'm stuttering a lot. I'm just trying to think back of you know, back to what happened and everything. But we hadn't actually spoken to the vet and said like, okay, if she does not eat, then when we bring her back tomorrow, we're gonna put her down. Those words were never actually said. So then when when my parents were speaking to the receptionist that day, and then the receptionist started speaking about whether we're going to cremate her and all these other details, it was such a shock. And I was like standing there holding Lady, because Lady was still groggy and whatnot with the meds, and I'm like, when did this happen? And I was taken aback and I was in shock and just all these emotions, like, is this my last day with her? And it was so difficult. This whole experience has kind of made me realize that I do not have a clue what I'm gonna do when it is actually her time to go. I don't know how I'm gonna handle it. I don't know. She's like a rock to this family. I think anyone with a family dog will kind of understand that feeling. It's like the house is nothing. The house is empty without them, and just so quiet without a dog. But ultimately, like the vet said, the liver is one of those miraculous organs that can heal itself very well, and with all the medicine and all the treatment that she got and the tons of love that my family was giving Lady, and even everyone at the vet practice was giving Lady, I think, you know, we pulled through. So that's that story. Sorry if I was all rambly and like stumbling over myself. I didn't have a script for this or anything. I didn't have any like notes about what days, what happened and everything. And just thinking about that kind of brought up a little bit of internal panic, just a hint, like thinking of all that trauma essentially that my whole family was going through over that week or so, where it was like Lady's deathbed almost. So, but Lady is still with us, and I would not have it any other way. You've got an ant on you. I'm so glad to still have Lady in my life, and I'm just not gonna think about that time that I've now postponed. You know, I know you're an old doggy, but you've still got lots left in you, huh? Thanks so much for watching, guys. Bye.